Hello. I'd like to send out love and compassion to all people who are suffering right now. I'd also like to send gratitude to people who are witnessing this video or who have allowed me to provide you with any kind of respite, service, time to um, just relax or think or, uh, you know, pass your time. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to do that with these videos and with my songs. So thanks for being part of that exchange and connection with me because it's really helpful and good for me too. So thank you. Um, Before I play my song, I just want to address something that's been in my head and in the news a lot. It's it sort of centers around a word. That word is essential. Essential. Um, Been hearing a lot in the news about essential things. Um, um, Things like food, shelter, healthcare, um, and sort of the lines of distribution and the things that we do um, to get those things to people, and that those have been deemed essential, and um, thus those are have been kind of separated from other things, thus not making them sort of part of this physical distancing, um, for very good reasons that I think are pretty clear to everybody. I think it's good to think about these things that are essential. I think they kind of make us sort of connect to everybody because I think in the end they're all more or less the same for everybody. Everyone could probably agree that these are essential for everyone. Um, what's maybe even more interesting is to think about how much these things that are essential are in the foreground of our minds now versus maybe 3 months ago or something like that, and how there are probably a lot of people who, to varying degrees, did have these essential things more in the foreground of their minds, but I I would guess that maybe most of us or a lot of us, for a lot of us, they weren't, and so now they are. They tend to be because we literally hear this word in the news all the time, and so I think making that connection with the idea that for some people those things have been in the foreground of their mind um, for a very long time. And it's very interesting to me that that the places in the world and in the country now that where people probably did have those essential things in the foreground of their mind are becoming the places that are starting to become hotspots for this virus, and it's almost like kind of a light that's getting shown on those places. And I believe that there's a possible connection and a reason for this, even message, if you will, to maybe our society at whole, that not only for cases of keeping this virus from spreading, that perhaps it's maybe a little more important for us to focus our energies on making sure that those essential things become a little bit more those needs are kind of met on a little bit more of a reliable basis for these places. And obviously areas we're talking about are places where there are lower sort of socio-economical trends, where certain populations tend to gather, for lack of a better term, for minorities or African American communities, and the long-term effects of having those kind of essentials being not totally stable have kind of manifested themselves into the physicality of people and the kind of depth in which that that issue can affect a population. And now we are seeing its effect on the potential effect on our population at large. And other places like prisons or assisted living facilities now, like, these are places where somebody could argue that like the essentials, food, shelter, those are taken care of. But I think there's another essential there that I think we're all starting to feel too. And I think that one is love. And I think love is something that's essential for everyone. And I don't really believe that someone can be loved until they feel lovable. And I think that it's possible that these places, prisons, assisted living places, underprivileged communities, the essential aspect that's missing, I think, in a lot of those places is a lot of those people are not feeling lovable. And I feel like focusing on that and being able to learn how to be lovable, how to share love, is an essential step to fixing that. And hopefully we're gonna figure that out. There's a really good quote I'm just gonna share with you before by a guy named Mira Baba, and I'm paraphrasing, but it goes something like, there's no love when there's coercion. So that if there are conditions, like you have you're going to give somebody something in exchange for love, then you're attaching something to that, and that's a transaction, and then that's not pure love. And so I think it's for me, it's become like a really interesting little thing to understand how much the love that I feel, even just to some of the closest people in my lives, is attached with something, like whether it's a conditional love. And so there have been moments in my life where I felt an unconditional love, and I think there is something, those moments have fueled me on to degrees that I can't really measure, and cultivating that within myself has been a really interesting and helpful pursuit. So anyway, I'm rambling as usual, but I appreciate the fact that some people have told me that they like my ramble, so thank you, and I will try not to judge myself too much on that. This next song is one that I've had kicking around for a long time. It's actually over 20 years old, and it's a song called Rockstar, and I wrote it because I was inspired as a very young kid to originally play music because of my fascination with rock stars. And I think maybe the idea of being on a stage with a spotlight on you and like a microphone that made you louder than everyone else and thousands of people cheering at every word you said was an occupation that seemed very attractive to a kid who felt like their voice or opinion was not getting the kind of attention or validation that they felt they needed. I would go on to actually start to learn how to play music and connect with people, other artists, and appreciators on a very small level, sometimes even just a one-on-one level through working with other artists and producing their music and vice versa. And I learned about some other connections that could be made through music and through my voice and thoughts. And I found some of those connections to be extremely rewarding and different than what I perceived when I was a kid about the experience of being a musician or a rock star. And so this is a song that's a little bit of a like note to myself about that. Okay. Just because you passed the pitcher, I thought I had to drink. And just because you dropped the anchor, I thought I had to sink. And just because you thought I was some said you knew me. I thought you knew me. And everybody looks like somebody, but nobody I know. And everywhere I think I'm going, somewhere I don't go. And every time I say I'm thinking that you knew. There is nothing else to do, so I think I'm leaving you. I'm learning to lie to myself. I'm thinking about my health. I'm wondering where you are, and I'm thinking I don't want to be a rock star anymore. I don't want to be a rock star. Just because you took my picture, I thought I was a star. And just because you gave me candy, I got inside your car. And every single day the sun went down, I thought it went down on me. But when I got up, I was shit out of luck. And everything I do to remember is making me forget. Every lie I say to get by no longer makes me upset. The brighter you make that birthday cake, the darker it seems to get. And all of the wind that filled my sails just blows right through me. I think I'm in love with myself. I'm not who I thought I was. I'm stoned and I'm watching TV and I'm thinking I don't want to be a rock star anymore. I don't want to be a rock star. I don't want to be a rock star anymore. I don't want to be a rock star. Poor pitiful me. Poor pitiful me. Poor pitiful me. Me. Thank you. I love you. Until we meet again.